After I returned from a long project overseas, I found something impossible waiting on my own land. 3 brand new houses, a fancy gate, and a homeowners association that thought I'd never come back. I'd been away for almost a year. Long days on a hot work site, dreaming of the quiet of my property in the desert. That quiet was all I wanted. The sound of wind through dry grass, the view from my simple house. I'd owned the 6 acres for over a decade. I bought it for the peace, the freedom. No one to tell you what you can or can't do with your own ground. Then I finally drove home. I came up the familiar dirt road. I knew every curve. But then the road wasn't dirt anymore. It was paved. I saw a tall wooden fence where my old one had been. And behind it, rooftops. 3 of them. Fresh paint, fancy tiles. For a moment, my mind refused to make sense of it. I got out of the truck. I walked toward the new gate. A shiny metal sign was bolted to it. Stone Canyon Estates. Private community. HOA members only. People were on those new porches. They had drinks. They were laughing. On my land. A woman in a crisp suit walked toward the gate. She had a clipboard. "Can I help you?" she asked, like I was lost. "You can tell me what these houses are doing on my property," I said. Her smile was thin. "I'm afraid there must be a misunderstanding. This parcel was released for provisional development." She spoke in smooth, confident sentences. About county codes, about my non-occupancy, about how everything was perfectly legal. They had improved the land. They had added value. Quote, "Theft that wears a smile is the hardest kind to see coming." I didn't argue at the gate. The fire in my chest was cold, not hot. I just looked at her and said, "We'll see." I got back in my truck and drove away. But I wasn't leaving. I was just getting started. The next morning, I was at the county office when the doors opened. The air inside was cool and smelled like old paper. The clerk pulled up the records. There were 2 files for my land. One was my original deed. The other was a transitional claim, filed 9 months earlier. My name was on a form I'd never seen. A signature I'd never written. And worse, my father's name was there as a co-signer. My father passed away 7 years ago. I asked for every page. The clerk handed me a stack. Fraud has a weight. You can feel it in the paper. Who would go this far? I had my answer when I saw the name of the person who approved the building permits. Delaney Sharp. A county zoning supervisor. According to the woman at the front desk, Mr. Sharp was currently on extended leave. The permits were dated, but the drone footage a local hobbyist gave me later showed bulldozers on my land months before those dates. The permits weren't just wrong. They were a cover-up. This was a plan. They thought the owner was gone for good. They assumed I wouldn't fight. That assumption was their first mistake. My second stop was to see a lawyer. Dana Pritchard had a reputation for being sharp and relentless. I showed her the papers. She read them quietly. "Forging a dead man's signature," she said, looking up. "They're finished." It was the first time I felt a spark of something other than anger. It was the beginning of a plan. We built a team. Dana for the law. A tech specialist named Leo to track the digital footprints. A former investigator, Angela, to talk to people and find the physical proof. Leo found it fast. The security system on my property had been accessed remotely from an IP address registered to the HOA's management office. They deleted months of camera footage. Angela found the contractor who admitted they started digging long before any permit was issued. And then Leo uncovered a short, internal memo. It was sent between HOA board members. It read, "Proceed with the Martin parcel integration. Assume he is not returning. Assume he is not returning." Those 5 words changed everything. They weren't a mistake. They were intent. This wasn't a clerical error. It was a conspiracy. We had them. We had the forged signature, the backdated permits, the hacked security, and now, their own words proving they knew exactly what they were doing. Quote, Silence isn't surrender. It's a strategy. We filed for an injunction to stop everything. We demanded a mediation meeting. We walked into a quiet office room. Karen Holdridge was there, the HOA president, perfectly composed. Her lawyer sat beside her. They talked about community, about procedure, about good faith. Dana let them talk. Then she slid a copy of the memo across the table. "Can you explain this?" she asked. The room got very quiet. Karen's lawyer objected. He called it confidential. But the damage was done. The mask had slipped. The real fight moved to the courtroom. The judge was a serious woman who didn't suffer fools. We presented the evidence, piece by piece. The clerk testified about the 2 files. The drone hobbyist showed his time-stamped photos. Leo explained, in simple terms, how he traced the digital intrusion back to the HOA's own computers. We showed the judge the memo. "Assume he is not returning." Dana's voice was calm and final. "Your Honor, this is not an error. This is a plan. We request the court restore full property rights and refer this matter for criminal investigation." The judge took a day to review everything. When we returned, the courtroom was full. The judge spoke clearly. She found clear evidence of fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. She restored my title, every acre. She ordered the HOA to vacate the structures they built. And then she did what we asked. She forwarded the entire case to the district attorney for a criminal investigation. As she finished speaking, 2 sheriff's deputies walked into the courtroom. They went directly to Karen Holdridge. "You're under arrest," one of them said. The click of the handcuffs was the loudest sound in the world. I drove back to my land that evening. The fence was still there, but it looked different. It looked temporary. The fancy sign was just a piece of metal. My house was still there, waiting. The 2 new houses stood empty. I made a decision then. I wasn't going to tear them down. That would be a waste. Instead, I renovated them. I turned the HOA's arrogance into my asset. I listed one as a short-term rental. I called it the house the HOA built. It booked up immediately. People wanted to see the place where the story happened. Now, the very association that tried to steal my land pays me rent every single month. The story got out. Neighbors stopped by. Strangers asked if it was true. I tell them yes. They built on my land. They lost. And now they pay for the privilege. People sometimes ask if I'm angry. I'm not. Not anymore. Anger is loud and burns out fast. What I feel is quieter. It's the peace of knowing that some lines can't be crossed. That paperwork might lie, but the truth endures. The desert heat taught me patience. This fight taught me that patience, backed by proof, is the most powerful weapon of all. If this story mattered to you, if it reminded you that standing your ground is worth it, then do me a favor. Hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed to @UrbanTales_41. We tell the stories that need to be heard. Thanks for watching.